Right, we're live. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for all coming on. Nice to see you. Don't know how long I'm going to be on tonight, obviously, because I don't know how long it'll take for me to get tired. I've got Sam on at the moment. I don't know whether Andy will be joining us or not. I have sent him the link. So it's just a matter of waiting and seeing. We'll just have a general chat tonight. I have promised Andy if his friend comes on, I will do a reading for her, but I ain't planning on doing many readings. So we'll just basically do a general chat tonight just to keep things, easy and fairly what's it. Because if I have to, I go stories. If I have to have my GTN thing, Sam spray, I'll go a bit funny for a few minutes. So I have to be careful with it. Still getting the chest pains and stuff. Got an appointment. Hi, Nicole. Oh, you're in. Hi, James. Where you send the link? Was that to Andy B or me? It was actually to Andy B, but I can send it to you, Andy, if you want it. I can actually put it in here for anybody if they want to join the what's it? Hi, Tara. Hi, Joanne.
Join the party.
Join the party, yeah. I'm feeling better than I did, Tara. Like I was just saying, I've still got chest pains and stuff. I've got me a tracker now that I'm wearing that's allowing me to monitor my heart rate, kind thanks to Sam. So I feel a little bit less stressed over things now, so I can keep an eye on it. Heart's ticking over at roughly 75 beats a minute mainly. It has shot up a couple of times today to 105 and dropped down to 48, I think it was when I used the GTN. But yeah, generally not too bad. I've got my new desk, so that is why the angle of the camera is slightly different. I ain't had a chance to set it up properly. Only wearing a little bit of ribbon tonight, Brett. Likely best I don't go on your live, lol. So yeah, just do a general chat. I know you've put out a video today, ain't you, Sam, on another radio you've had. Is that actually a Radio Shack based radio? Because I noticed it was a 12 dash, even though it was called an Optimus, which made me think of of Transformers, but it sounds like a Radio Shack number.
It's a Radio Shack 174, as far as I know.
Right.
I didn't I only realized about 20 minutes ago that that video went out because I had leftover videos that I had scheduled. I'd done a lot of Spurt Box session during the quarantine and stuff like that. Yeah, the only problem is there's been some drama between the equipment people in the paranormal,
right?
And people had to take their how to do videos down, which I think it's shameful. It's not supposed to be about making money and that, but some of these people are targeting how to do videos, which hasn't affected me yet. But
what are they actually doing, Sam? Just being abusive?
They're being abusive to people showing you how to hack radios,
right?
Because it's delving into their money-making business.
Oh, right. So do you think it's the people who are actually making money out of it that are behind it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because this is the reason why I put out these videos. I don't gain money from it, and there's people out there that want equipment and they can't. Some of them can't afford it.
Right.
And I do have the expensive equipment, but I do have the cheap ideas as well, and I share them out because not everybody has a lot of money to buy PSP 7s and stuff like that. They're very expensive.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think one retails for. I think the cheapest you'll get one over here at the moment is probably about £75. I think. For a PSP 7, they ain't cheap.
They're averaging £79.99, £80 basically. Yeah. For what they are, they're not very much, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and just a little bit of variety if they wanted a hack box and stuff like that. You know, I'm still going to if I can hack a box and you know, I don't mind showing people. What people do with that information, it's up to them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You know, I just done my bit. Do you know, a lot of people have been commenting on my the little REM pods that some of these equipment companies were selling for a lot of money, and I exposed the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, tell them exactly what these are. These are only very, very cheap door handle alarms that are modified, and this is how you do them. And a lot of people have taken advantage of that and says, wow, I don't have to save up for a REM pod now. I'm going to buy some of these, you know. And, you know, I'm still getting comments on those videos, you know. So, you know.
Yep. Right. I'm just going to do a quick reading while before we start, because Andy's friend Nicole is on. Right, Nicole, I have I've just pulled out 4 cards. You can't actually see them here on the desk, but I'll hold them up one at a time and tell you what I've got here. Quite an interesting reading, actually. Right, now, your past card, I don't know if you can see it there. You've got a Pentacles card, okay? You've got the 6 of Pentacles. Right, now, what that's saying to me is basically in the past, there has been some kind of advisory level things going on concerning money and finances. I don't know whether you've been in a position where somebody has been advising you, but I get the impression that somebody has in some way been controlling your finances. Whether it's for good or evil, I do not know. I couldn't tell you. I'm not getting a sense that it was done in a negative manner, but there has definitely been somebody in your recent past who has some way been involved in managing your financing, or yeah, door alarms, they're brilliant, Joanne. But why this has come up, I do not know, Nicole, but it's obviously significant because it's showing in the past. But it's definitely saying that there has been some kind of advisory regarding money. Now, whether it's to do with, because I know you're in Belgium, I don't know whether it's to do with money you're getting off the state or whatever, but there has definitely been someone, and I won't say interfering because I don't get the impression it's interfering. I just get the impression it's more of an advisory, which is quite interesting. The thing is, it doesn't actually tie into your next card, because your next card is the present, and you've got the Knight of Cups. Now, I don't know if you know about cups, but the cups are the emotions side of life, and they represent anything to do with relationships and the emotions. Now, the Knights, as I always tell people, are a sense of movement and the start of new things. So what that is saying to me is, because he's carrying the single cup, you are marching forward. There is movement in terms of relationships. Okay, there is definitely a start of a new journey, possibly even a little bit of a battle to come ahead on an emotional level, but it's not a negative thing as such. Okay, what it is saying is that emotionally wise, you are about to embark upon a new phase in your life, right? But it is definitely going to involve a lot of movement regarding the emotions, because it's the Knight. Had it have been the Page, I would have said it was just literally the very trickling start of things going on. But because it's the Knight signifies things on a much greater movement level, as is shown by the horse. The fact you're holding the cup aloft as well is something else that's drawing me off that card. So I do think that this is more of a relationship than a friendship. And you are marching towards things in that way. Right. Now, what comes up in the future is really interesting, because you've now got a Swords card, which is the 6 of Swords. Now, this is to do with the intellect, Nicole. And this card, to me, is always to do with emotional baggage. I always say, whenever I see this card, it reminds me of somebody rowing out into a lake to dump a body, as is signified by. I'll show you it again. As you can see in the boat, there is a little sack, and the guy is rowing the sack, and it almost looks like it's a body, and it's being rowed out onto the lake. And I think what it's saying here is, sometime in the future, for this relationship to progress, Nicole, you have got to dump the emotional baggage that you don't need. Oh, Andy's here. Let me pull him in. Hi, Andy. Sorry, I didn't realise you were in there because I was looking at these cards. It's definitely saying that you're going to need to get rid of this emotional baggage for this relationship to progress, Nicole. Very important that you do it, because otherwise it is going to become a sort of barrier to you to progressing in the future, and that is why it's sitting in your future aspect of where the card's sitting. Again, it's something you can deal with, but it is something only you can deal with. It's not something that somebody else can help you with. But what I would say is, take a look at things that have happened in the past, analyze them, deal with them, and then let them go. And that is what this card signifies. It's a dumping of emotional baggage, literally dumping the body in the lake, so to speak. So, hi, Luna. So that is what comes. Now, your final outcome is really good, because you've got the Two of Cups. Again, a very strong relationship card, and this is your final outcome. So what it is saying here, Nicole, is this is what you are capable of achieving as long as you continue on the path you currently are, and you deal with any of this emotional excess that you've currently got on or going on in your life. Once that is sorted out and it's cleansed out of your life, the way is going to be open for this relationship to really blossom. And because you've got the Two of Cups, it is almost the same as getting the Lovers in terms of what you've got there. So it is definitely good signs for a relationship as the final outcome, but it is, like I say, it is to do with clearing this emotional baggage first, because that will be a blocker otherwise, and you won't be able to achieve this final outcome. So most definitely analyze things that are going on at the moment, make peace with your past, because I do get a sense that there is some kind of, you need to make some kind of peace with something in your past, because that is what's causing your main block. But once you've actually dealt with that, the way is open for this relationship, and your final outcome is really good, because it is showing that this is going to be successful. It's most definitely a successful partnership. You were exchanging cups, that's male and female, so that they're changing each other's cups, which to me, I always say, signifies changing, having feelings for each other. So overall, Nicole, not a bad reading. It's just a future advisory. Get your head in order before the arts that I'm busy in dumping my past, and that is what you've got to do, Nicole. But I did promise Andy I'd do that reading for you if you came on, but not a bad reading at all, to be honest with you. I will do a couple more a bit later on if anybody wants one, but I just want to talk to Andy and Sam for a bit while I'm on. Really interesting, that last video, Andy.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that. That bout. You're welcome, Andy. I really enjoyed that third bound one. Jace is absolutely obsessed with them.
He's enthralled in them.
Oh God, he loves them. He absolutely loves them.
Well,
he's majorly into them.
Next week's it's going to be an emotional roller coaster, I think.
Right. Okay.
There's a few sad moments in it.
Oh God, I ain't gonna have him crying on the sofa, am I? So, have you filmed these over a certain period, Andy, or did you film them all in like the space of a week or whatever?
Now they're just when we fancy nipping out for a walk,
Mm-hmm.
We just like stick his head cams on and just go for a walk in woods and see what we can find.
Right. What I'll presume Becky's going to use some of the bones and stuff in things like the dream catchers and some of the ones. What are you going to do with the bigger bones?
Bigger ones, like wind chimes and stuff. You know, because they make nice clonking noises. When
Yeah, it's quite interesting actually.
yeah.
I won't mind a bone wind chime. Mind you, Jace won't touch it.
Ah,
He keeps on about he loves these bones, but if you found one in the street, he wouldn't pick it up.
oh, I'd love one I found over there because it still had rabbit's foot attached to it.
Oh God, he'd have been freaking. He'd have been absolutely freaking. It's like when you found that dead rabbit in the last one. He wouldn't have touched that.
Really?
Hmm. But it's actually nice to see a change of pace for everybody because obviously I've been off for a few weeks. Like I said, I don't know how long I'm going to be on tonight because I have got a bit of actually I'm going to take some of my spray. So I have to take this stuff now if ever I get a bit icky. Ooh. It tastes vile. Now that's probably going to give me an headache for a few minutes, but I'll go through it. Lunar eclipse paranormal. Would you give me a reading? Yeah, I'll do you one in a second, Luna. But yeah, I think it's really interesting to see a change of pace on some of the channels. Andy, what are your opinions now that the lockdown have been reduced due to? Do you think it's actually okay now to go out and do investigations, or do you think we should still be staying indoors?
Oh, me.
I'll start with Sam. Let's see, because Sam's in a slightly different situation to us in England.
Yeah.
Our situation is the up until now the message is still stay at home.
Mm-hmm.
Now there is an extension on the amount of times you go out to exercise. And from Monday onwards, I think it is. There has been certain things like garden centres, no hardware stores, not homeware stores, hardware stores.
Yeah.
But if hardware stores have homeware in them, and if they're classed as a hardware store, they can open. It's to do with getting construction back into process and that. The only thing I have issue with with Boris Johnson's decision last week.
Yeah.
It's not so much the lifting of the lockdown, but obviously we need the economy to get up and running and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in an area like London, who depends on public transport, lifting the lockdown to get people back to work before sorting out the public transport issue, which ended up being an issue, was the wrong decision. He put the cart before the horse, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
As far as we're concerned here, with the paranormal, we go to places where no one else is.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my filming is across the border, and obviously I'm not going to go over there until things have been sorted and stuff. But, I think I will be pretty soon starting to go to local places during the day and start doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's my part. That's part of my exercise is going out and doing a little spurt box somewhere and stuff like that. Because I'm actually not getting out enough. And I actually locked down right at the beginning before we were actually told. When things were kicking off in China and there was a few cases starting to come in here, I says, that's it, I'm not leaving the house. Things are not looking good. So I'm actually mostly isolated a lot of the time since before the lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you've seen me in my car going getting my bits and pieces and stuff like that, but that's about it,
Yeah. Andy?
Well, to be absolutely fair, like Sam just said, we kind of do stuff where not many people tend to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be honest. you know, I've never had an issue all the way through it with anybody. Personally, this is my personal opinion. I've never had an issue with anybody doing stuff where people aren't going to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been out for many a lengthy walk because I've got restless leg syndrome.
Right. I know the feeling.
And you know, I've kind of done a lot of tests myself, private tests through this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been one of them kind of people that still touches stuff and then, you know, gives me beard a good stroke. And you know, I've been around people in massive queues and touch stuff as normal, trolleys as normal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I've watched people. I ain't seen a note that makes me see anybody's ill or out like that or whatever. You know, it's just way I've seen it. But for me personally, I think it's fine. Get you sent out there. You know, as somebody said in chat not long ago, it's common sense.
Yeah.
You know, there's more danger if it were as bad as they say, being in a supermarket, than an abandoned building or a woodland somewhere or wherever, somewhere quiet. You know.
Yeah. Oh, the good news is it looks like YouTube have reactivated the bots. So the likes of Maureen's going to be happy now. They can start gambling again on the channel. I went out today for a quick walk to the bottom of the street because even though they keep telling me not to go out, I cannot stay in fully because it's actually making me feel worse. So what I've been doing is doing a 5-minute walk to the bottom of the canal bridge just down the road and then back again. And I actually noticed today that one of the furniture shops has reopened. Now, I don't know whether they're supposed to be open or not, but they've opened, and there was people going in and out there. I noticed today, and they were all standing quite close together. We do have a very high population of Eastern Europeans over, around here as well, and they seem to be a little more lax than what they have been. So whether we're going to have the police around here again, because when we first had the lockdown, we got the police cars were coming around pretty much once every couple of hours. We had the mounted police turn up on the horses a couple of times in the first week or so, and then we even had the police drone flying around and checking what people was doing. It was in people's gardens and everything.
I'm going to say they abuse the powers a little bit, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
They've had a bit of a naughty boy spanking for it, haven't they?
Yeah, well, when they sent the drone around the street, Andy, it was actually in the back garden of a woman over the road from me, and she's getting on. She ain't a young woman.
Yeah.
So what they thought they were going to see in her back garden, because they were supposedly looking for people, out in the streets all breaking the thing, and that they were hovering a drone in her back garden.
We've been checking her greenhouse.
Probably to check there was nothing too illegal in it. Cheers for that, Nicole.
They're exotic tomato plants you've got in there, old lass.
Yeah. Oh, Claire said they had the drone the other day, so it looks like they're using it in Barnsley as well now then.
Yeah,
we had it literally right at the very start of the lockdown. We'd got the police here literally every hour pretty much. They were coming down the street in various cars and unmarked vans and all sorts. Then we had a couple of mounted police down here twice a week, and then literally we had the drone. But that was only the first week. Claire says it was in her garden. What was it? Was it looking for your herbs, Claire?
Not surprised. She's always topless sunbathing, apparently, in her garden.
All right. Well, funnily enough, you saying that, I actually watched a YouTube video. Yeah, was it yesterday or the day before, Andy? And I don't know why it popped up on my YouTube, but it was concerning South Yorkshire Police, and it was a couple of years ago, and they'd been hovering a helicopter over some woman's garden who was known to sunbathe topless.
Really?
She was naked in a what's-it, and they'd actually done the police officer for it, and it was South Yorkshire Police.
Wow.
And it was only a couple of years ago, and apparently they'd done it for over a week. They'd been doing it for a couple of weeks, and she didn't realise at the time because they got them long-range cameras and stuff. And then the police contacted her and said, you know, we've got an admission to make. One of our pilots has been filming you naked in your back garden. And it was South Yorkshire Police.
Oh, God.
Our police authority. So, you know, no more naked sunbathing in the back garden for me. Don't want to frighten anybody. Mind you, I won't mind once all the weight's gone. I'm on a major diet at the moment. I'm on decaffeinated coffee. Sam's just pulled a face at. Semi-skim milk. I cannot get down to skim milk at the moment, but I'm going to try. I'm having a lot porridge for my breakfast and supper, and then loads of tuna or salmon or, you know, old bread pasta or baked taters and all that kind of stuff at the moment. But I've got about...
Here's the guy who was swallowing his words a few months ago going, oh, I couldn't do that, Andy.
I know. I've had no choice. I've had no choice.
They say you should only have tuna a couple of times a week because apparently there's a mercury content in tuna.
Aye.
Apparently.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, and believe it or not, tuna, although it's good for meat, is not actually classed as an oily fish. I have to have either sardines, which I cannot stand,
salmon,
or salmon, which I don't really like, but I can manage tinned, but it's bloody expensive salmon. Right. Jace fetched me a tin yesterday. It was nearly £2 for a tin of salmon. You know, tiny little tin of salmon that I managed to do a sandwich out of. Hi, Selena.
Hello, Selena.
Oh, hi.
Yeah. It's been a what's it? Mackerel. Now I ain't. Are you still doing high five with that? That dog's brilliant for doing high five.
High five, little one. High five from the tongue out. I know you want it. Yes, you do.
See, if I said to Kaya, give me a high five, and just stick her ass in there and walk off.
Yeah.
I can't eat mackerel, Andy. I'm not a big fish lover at all. It's a shame it didn't work for prawns or something like that, because I absolutely love prawns and you know, and cockles, but I ain't a big fish eater. It makes me wretch. It's all the bones in it. Just don't like it.
I'm used to fish because I was actually trained in the fish farming industry.
Were you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to have to start eating it, Sam, but, you know, it's something I'm going to have to, you know, get a taste for, because, like I say, salmon I can deal with, and tuna, I really enjoy tuna. But even though it's good for me, you know, it ain't doing it ain't giving me what I need, which is the omega-3, apparently. But,
well, when I was training to be... when I was working with the salmon and trout, I wouldn't eat salmon from the shops, but because I know the treatments that I used for salmon and that, and there was some treatments there that if I was treating the fish for, you know, certain types of diseases, there was one treatment that if I even done that, I could die.
Were you joking?
It just went into my system. It would kill me.
And they were putting this in the fish?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, there's a disease called... I can't remember what the disease is, but it's common in salmon. But the treatment for it is a similar compound to sheep dip.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Do you know?
Hang on, I've got to say hi to Nikki. There you go. Hi, Nikki. Well, I have said hi, Nikki, but it does. Oh, it has. It's come on.
Hello, Nikki.
Yeah. How's your diet going, Andy? Because, you know, you're still on a restricted diet, aren't you?
Yeah, it's. I've been able to introduce a few more things, because, you know, when I thought it was chicken that were doing it, well, it were a bit of a mixture. I've got to lower my chicken intake because poultry. I've always been. I'm funny with eggs, so. But what I found, it were them beta blockers. I've got to I've got to like have a lower dose but more tablets throughout the day instead of having an higher one.
Yeah.
Because it makes my heart rate too slow and too thumpy, and that's the issue we're having.
See, this is the problem I've got. I've got to go tomorrow for blood tests, not blood tests, for blood pressure and heart rate count, because I've still got this chest pain that just will not go. They want to increase my dosage of beta blockers, but they've got to be careful they don't slow my heart down too much.
Yeah.
Now, according to this strap, this fitness band I've got on at the moment, my what's it is. Oh, it's gone funny on there. My heartbeats. Why is that flashing? Oh, thank you, Andy. You don't need to do that, but it is appreciated. I wonder why my light was bloody flashing then. You know, my beats are around about 75 at the moment, which is lower than a lot of people's, but they've got to see if they can actually lower it a bit more.
Yeah, they'll up your dose a little bit, but it's tough. Very tough.
It is tough. So I'm just checking why my watch has gone a bit funny. I'm gonna have to recharge it, I think.
You see, when I first went on them, my resting heart rate were down to 40.
Right.
And then when I graduated my tablets up into like more doses throughout the day but smaller milligram, it managed to get back to 60, which is more normal.
Right.
Because 40 is too low. That's why we're feeling so fatigued.
40 is way too low.
Yeah, that's
apparently 70 to 90 is considered average.
Apparently professional athletes can get it down to 40.
Right.
And I was like, there's no way I'm an athlete.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, I'm just funny with them, you know.
See, I'd be the same. I'd be the same. I'd be like, you know, I can't cope with it that low, sort of thing. I've just realised what's the matter with that watch. It's gone into bloody nighttime mode. But yeah, I'll see. But the problem with me, Andy, is when I take the GTN, my heart rate drops down to about 48. And what they want to do is they're going to try the beta blockers first, and then if that don't work, they're then going to put me on a permanent GTN sort of thing rather than using the spray. It'll be a tablet, slow release tablet thing.
Oh yeah.
But I'm worried that they're going to slow me down to about 48 beats a minute, which is really not going to be good for me.
And that's when you start passing out.
Yeah. But you know. And then I've got to find out whether I'm going to do an heart bypass, whether I'm just going to leave things, or what's going to happen. Hi, Jane. Because I've got a consultation next month with the hospital again, but everything's being done over the phone at the moment because of what's going on.
Oh, Jane.
Anybody else got anything paranormal they wanted? Actually, who wanted their cards? I'll read their cards first before I do anything else. Do you remember who it was who asked? Somebody asked me to do the cards.
Oh.
I remember who it was. I'll see if if they ain't, we'll see if I'm still in. If Mary did, that was it. Lunar eclipse. I don't know if she's still in or not. We'll wait to see if there is or not. We'll carry on talking till then. So, what you got planned for when it's all over, Andy?
Well, I've got one Canon M50s coming. With some lenses and stuff, so I want to do some more like documentary style stuff, you know, like I want to hit some. I've been planning it for a couple of years, but I want to do some more like proper in-depth documentaries, like on Cottingley fairies. Yeah, you know, some Robin Hood stuff.
See, I'd love to go. I'd love to go up to there just to see where that is it Cotton? It is Cotton Hall, isn't it?
Which one was that?
The one where they did the cardboard fairies, but they
Oh.
always insisted that that there was real ones there as well.
Yeah, but believe it or not, it's a terraced house.
Is it?
It's still there. It was for sale. Well, I think it's up for sale now. It's called the
Wow.
Fairy House. Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow!
Wow.
So I'm hoping I can try. If it's for sale when I finally get there, which I hope it's going to be in a month or two's time, I'm going to try and book an appointment for a viewing at house so I can get inside and do a bit of filming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know?
not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Back in 1 second.
Okay. Right, I'm just going to quickly do Luna a quick reading. Right, past you have got. Oh, it's a bit hard now because there's 3 of us here. You've basically got the Fall. Now, the Fall is the start of new journeys, taking a jump into the unknown. So what that is saying to me is recently there has been a new phase in your life where you have begun new things, new path. I would say it's basically a new path in life, not just a single thing. I get the impression off these cards that it's been, quite drastic, as in life changes. It's like you've been reinventing yourself, or have recently reinvented yourself. Been a little bit of a culture shock, and it was probably a bit frightening at the time as well, Luna, because I think it was something that you weren't sure about, and it was literally a bit of a leap of faith, so to speak. Very interesting is Fallen in the Past, because it's always a good card to have there, because it is the start of it is considered the start of the tarot. Again, I think you had guidance in what you were doing, because the dog who barks at his heels is considered like a guardian. So somebody has guided you in some way or other. I don't think they've made any of the main decisions for you, but they have been an influence into the point where they have been more so like an advisor to you. You've decided the path, but this person has been there to say yay or nay as to whether they think it's a good idea. And I do believe that it's actually a person, who you consider, you respect this person a lot. You respect their opinion a lot. I ain't saying they've swayed the opinion, but you've definitely sought their opinion before making any of these moves. Definitely an exciting time coming up, leading on from the Fall. Because moving on to your present, we've got this one, which is the 5 of Wands. Now, the 5s I always consider really strange cards, because they're what I call the pivot cards. They are halfway through, between 1 and 10. So they're like the pivot on a balance. So what it is saying to me, Mary, is just be wary of any health issues at the moment, because this is where health can be in the balance, so to speak. I don't think it's anything major, but there is definitely something pivotal around your health at the moment. There is a little bit in the balance and could swing one way or the other. It could be an improvement in health, or it could be a little bit of your health going down, going on to the negative side of things. Nothing major, but there's definitely this pivot here with it being the 5. There is going to be a little bit of a struggle regarding it one way or the other, whether it turns out positive or negative for you. This health issue is definitely going to be a little bit of what I would say is a minor conflict, nothing major. And I don't believe that the health problems themselves are going to be major, but it could be the start of something niggly, or it could actually be the ending of something that's been niggly up to this point. Because it links on from the Fall, I get the impression it's probably more to the positive side than the negative. So I would say if you've been having anything niggly health-wise up until this point, it is actually going to start to clear itself a little bit, because the Fall signifies the start of a new phase. So anything niggly would actually be going away. But just be aware of it, because part of what's going on is very much within your control. You have the power to deal with it, sort of thing, or you at least have the power to improve the situation regarding your health. And it's important that you do this now, because that card is sitting in your present. Now, in the future, you've got another suit, which is the 10 of Pentacles. Now, this one is a good one because the 10s, I always say, are good cards because they are the ultimate card before you go into the Royals. And the Pentacles, as you know, signifies the material and wealth. So it is showing a future where material gain is going to be very much in the positive. I'm not saying you're going to be rich, but money is not going to be an actual problem for you, so to speak. It is also a signifier that there could possibly be a windfall or an unexpected gift of a financial nature. Not nothing massive, but there could be money there for you that you're not currently aware of. Now, whether it's money you're entitled to yourself or whether it will be given to you as a gift, I can't say at the moment because that is not really ICAT. That is not really coming out of the cards, but it is definitely saying that there is going to be some kind of financial gain here, Luna, that is going to be unexpected. It's going to give you a lot of security as well, because in the background of that card there is actually a tower, and that tower's jumping out at me at the moment. And for me, towers always signify like castles, a sanctuary or a place of security, because it's a financial card, because it's the Pentacles. That is saying that the future is going to be financially secure to the point where you're not going to need to have to worry about money so much as maybe you have in the past. Right, now your final outcome again is your Pentacle, and it's your Knight of Pentacles, and it's the card that follows on from the 10. So again, this is showing this movement in the material. So what that is saying to me is make the most of your money, because your money is going to have legs at the moment. Finances are going to be good. It may be the time now, or the time is coming up where you can actually start spending a little bit of cash and reaping the rewards. There's going to be nothing negative regarding finances, because the Knight I always consider to be a positive card when it's the right way around, but it is definitely showing movement within money, or the movement of money. So to me, that is saying maybe, I don't know, you've been planning on buying something, or you've had a dream of owning or buying something for a time. Now would actually be the time to start working towards that, because coming up in the future, you're going to have the finances there to do it, Luna. Most definitely. There's a lot of movement concerning finances. The fact your last two cards are up, Pentacles, is also really interesting, because that is saying coming into the future and your final outcome is very material based, and both of them are very positive cards. So it's showing very positive aspects of material stuff. But I would definitely say, if there is something you've been looking forward to, or something you've been wanting to treat yourself to for a long time, now is the time to start working towards it, because very soon you're going to have the finances to achieve it. I hope that helped. Okay. Oh. Honestly, they're knacking me doing these at the moment. What's your dog doing, Sam?
They're all saying how cute the dog is in the chat, so the dog is overshadowing me at the moment, so I might as well go.
Is it an he or a she?
It's a she.
A she.
Phoebe.
Is this a Shih Tzu or?
It's a cross between a Shih Tzu and a Tibetan Terrier.
Oh, Christ, that's a combination and a half.
Yeah. She's very quiet. She just lies there. You're lazy, aren't you? You just sleep and eat.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds a bit like Becky.
It sounds a bit like me at the moment. That's all I do at the moment is eat and sleep. And go out, what I've been trying to do is go out for 10 minutes on the morning and 10 minutes on the afternoon, sort of thing. When Jace is here, I go out for the second one, but it's only like 10 minutes. But I find, Andy, if I go out, I actually feel better. If I stay in, I feel worse.
Yeah.
Regardless of what they're saying, I actually feel worse if I stay in constantly.
Yeah. Like I started putting, I don't know, I bet my environment wasn't very energetic and stuff, and I decided I'd repot my planters in the patio area, and now I bought hanging baskets, and it feels a lot better, you know,
Hmm.
having plants around.
What's really interesting is I've had no more activity going on here. Jace has had no laces tied up or nothing, but since I've had this it's all stopped again. Now, it was really interesting that 2 weeks before I had the heart attack, things here started to really ramp up even worse. Well, I don't mean worse, but they were more than even at the old place. Like when we had that plate appear out of midair and drop on my slippers. I've never had anything like that happen before. Then I've had the heart attack, and since I've come back, there's been nothing. So I don't know whether that was somebody warning me it was coming or what it was.
I
But
see
I find that really interesting.
You know, when you mentioned about the plate appearing and stuff like
Mhm.
that, I seen an interview with a guy called Steve Mira,
Right.
and he had an incident in a house where this woman had bought 4 cups,
Mhm.
and she was making somebody a cup of tea in the kitchen,
Mhm.
and she turned around and the cup had disappeared,
Yeah.
but it was in the middle of the floor. So because it went from one place to another, he decided he would take this cup, but he took another one of the other cups as well. And under the microscope, the cup that went from one place to another, they found out that the molecular structure had changed. So
See,
rather than it physically moving,
Mhm.
does it atomize or disappear and then appear?
See,
It's,
what
you know,
I never actually saw it appear because from where I was sitting, I was at the opposite side of the the opposite end of the coffee table. But Jace was sitting at the end where it appeared, and Jace says it looked like it appeared out the side of the coffee table. All I saw was the very edge of the plate, and my slipper moved as it dropped on my slipper, and my slipper flipped outwards on the floor, and I was like, "What's that?" And Jace says, "There's a plate just appeared out in the middle of in midair." And he said it actually span in midair before it landed on the slipper. But as I got up and looked, there was definitely a plate on top of my slippers. Now, there was no plate on the coffee table or anything, Sam. There was nothing there at all. Have you ever experienced anything like that, Andy, with cutlery or crockery moving?
Yeah.
But have you ever actually seen it appear in front of you?
Well, not like that, but I've seen things like just move, like spin about, and I once had a salad bowl, and every time I tried putting my lettuce in it, it was sliding away from me on.
Well, that's freaky.
Yeah, every time I tried putting my hand to it, it moved away from my hand, and I was like, "Whoa,"
Wow.
But yeah.
Yeah, I had to laugh at Claire earlier on. She was on about a ball of string she lost, and it appeared in her pants. I've never heard of him stuffing stuff in your pants before.
I says that's a sign to wear stringier thongs, isn't it?
It is, but Jace says when that plate appeared, he says it actually appeared spinning in midair. He says it looked like it appeared outside of the coffee table and it was spinning as it fell.
But I agree with what Sam's just been saying. I think it's they're breaking it down on a molecular level.
They've got to be, Andy. They've got to be.
Because if that molecular structure's changed on that test that they did, then obviously they hadn't replaced it back together exactly how it was, whatever's done it.
Yeah.
I think that's quite cool.
It actually was a very interesting interview. Yeah, he's mentioned it in a couple of interviews actually, because I followed it up by looking at other stuff, But Phoebe had been a couple of nights ago running around frantic, as if she was following something, and I just didn't, because I was sort of thinking, and I was kind of confused about it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't record it in that, So sometimes a lot of the stuff that happens here, the last thing you're thinking about is grabbing a camera. It was
the same with us, with that plate, Sam. It just happened that quick, and we were watching TV at the time. It just happened that quick. There was no camera to hand anyway. But Tracy said, I've experienced it with a piece of jewellery. I was in my kitchen and a ring fell from the ceiling and hit the worktop, bounced off and rolled under the tumble dryer. And Nicole says she had it with a tiny spoon some years ago.
Yeah, I had a doll. I have a doll in the hallway here that I had bought that day that was throwing 6 foot and hit me in the back, and it was hit with force.
Yeah.
I mean, it took about a distance of about 6 feet to actually reach me, but
Hmm.
I could see the doll coming, and I could do nothing about it.
Yeah. Tracy said that ring was a man's ring. It was definitely too big for her. So what happened to your salad bowl, Andy? What did you do in the end? Did it just stop moving, or did you just grab it and?
Well, Becky had she were washing some pots as I were, cutting it up, and it did it about 3 times. Every time I like moved my hand to it, it pushed away,
Mm.
and then I goes, Becky, watch this. So she turned around, and then it just stopped doing it.
It's freaky. That is really, really freaky. But I couldn't understand the significance of crockery, because it weren't a full size plate. It was like like a cake plate, not a saucer, but not a full size plate. The one that you put cake on, and so I call them cake plates. The medium size plate was one of them. It weren't a full size dinner plate. It was just like a cake plate sort of thing. But Brett, did the plate appear from nowhere, or was it one of your plate? It wasn't actually thrown, Nikki. This is the point. It literally just dropped out of the air. Jace says it appeared the side of the coffee table, spinning, flipping end over end, and it landed on my slippers. Because my slippers were the side of the coffee table. I actually saw my slippers move. It was my slippers I saw move. And I was like, what was that sort of thing? Because me and Jace were sitting on the sofa. And I saw my slipper fly out, sort of thing, by about 5 or 6 inches. And Jay says there's a plate just appeared there. He says, I've just seen it spinning in midair. And he said it's spinning and landed on the slippers. But it was definitely one of my plates. But, it weren't in here. There was no plates in here. We were just watching TV.
Andy was talking about the cotton reef fairies and that. I think them photographs are absolutely class. So I got them off the internet and I actually framed them.
Oh, excellent. I love it.
I love these photographs. I think these are class. There's one. I haven't got the 5th one, which is believed to be supposed to be the true one.
The genuine one.
Well, these are absolutely gorgeous.
Those they got, was it off a biscuit tin they got them or something?
I think, I believe it was, yeah.
It was a biscuit tin, weren't it? But the 5th one, looks entirely different to them.
Yeah. I thought they cut them out of a magazine and used hat pins, I think.
Yeah, I know they were cardboard cutouts and they stuck them on the Watsits. But if you look at the 5th one, the 5th picture is entirely different to you can tell the fairy even looks different. It looks transparent for a start off.
There's an opaqueness to it, isn't there?
Yeah, and that is something they wouldn't have been able to do with the box brownie at the time.
But they really took beautiful photographs.
Yeah.
There's no shadows or anything with anything like that.
You see,
Nicole. Four of the 5 pictures are admitted. They admitted themselves they're fakes.
Yeah,
they do claim that the 5th picture is real, and right up until their deaths, both of those girls, well, they were women at the time, both of them right up to their deaths, still claim that there were genuine fairies in the garden, but they couldn't get pictures of them properly, so that is why they faked them.
Yeah, and that's answers I'm hoping to get by doing spirit boxes up in area. Seeing if there's anything still there that can tell me what happened. I think it'll be quite a good, because nobody's done it. Nobody's semi-paranormal investigated it properly. Yeah. So.
There's been talk of it, but I've never actually seen it.
Yeah.
But they had to. They had to have some reason for doing it. And possibly because they had missed the opportunity, they went with doing what they did, but they never got. People that fake stuff, they get a lot of they get a lot of negativity towards them. They didn't necessarily get that because you know, back then it was at the end of the war and that, and people needed their spirits lifted up.
Yeah.
And actually, these pictures, you know, they're on bus stops. They're cut out of metal sculptures and everything in that village. It's a pride of the village, you know.
Yeah. Has
know?
either of you two ever seen film that were based on it?
No, I keep meaning to. What's it called?
It's called Fairy Tale: A True Story.
I'll have a look on.
Absolutely
Kobe.
brilliant.
I'll have a look on Kobe. See if it's on Kobe.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. I loved every minute on it.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind watching it. Actually,
I have got a copy on it if you're struggling.
Yeah. I got the book. I actually got the book from Arthur Conan Doyle as well.
Oh yeah, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's in big writing, so I can read it through.
See what I found interesting about the case is one, the fact that they actually admitted that the photos were fake, and two, the fact that they still insisted that the fifth one wasn't, and that what they were seeing they couldn't record, and that for me is what gives them credibility.
Yeah.
Because I think if they'd have insisted right till the end of their lives that those pictures were genuine, I think then it would have thrown a lot of doubt on the case once they passed away and it was proven. But the fact that they admitted, that that 4 of the 5 were actually fake, I think actually gave them more credibility. I really do. And the fact that they insisted to the end of their lives that that there was genuine fairies there. They'd got nothing to gain by doing that, but ridicule. But right up till the end of their lives, both of them still insisted that there was fairies in that garden, that they had seen them.
Mm.
Yeah, that's right, James. They admitted the photos are fake, but they always swore that the 5th picture was genuine. And if you look at that 5th picture, it is distinctly different from the other 4. And personally, I can't see how they would have achieved the effect on that photo with the box brownie.
If you do a little bit of digging online as well, you can find Conan Doyle's maps where every single photo were apparently taken.
Oh, can you?
Yes. In the area. Because, believe it or not, there were quite a distance between 5th photograph and rest. But I'm not sure, but it might be an housing estate now where Woodland got knocked away.
All right.
Yeah.
Claire has come up with the question.
I know, I've just seen it. It's a Joanne B question. If you could see a portal and touch it, would you walk through, guys? Depends. If I could come back and no time had passed, yes. If I was going to go through and I knew 200 years was going to pass, then the answer would be no. But, if I could go through and know I could come back roughly the same time period, yeah, I would. Sam?
Well, if a portal just appeared, I wouldn't have that information, so I don't know if I would touch it.
You don't know.
Yeah.
See, I'd want to know first if there's a fairy sitting in front of it. I'd be getting, I'd be questioning the fairy first. What's going on? What, how long's going to pass when I go through this portal? If if they could assure me it was only going to be like a couple of weeks or something, or a couple of days, then yeah, I'd go through. But if they said, "Oh no, you go through and 50 years are going to pass," then no, I wouldn't. Andy, I know what you're going to say.
Instantly in an heartbeat, no thought.
But what about Becky?
What about her?
You'd just leave Becky behind?
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
And I'd be tittering along with fairies that she'd have to try and explain to police where I've gone and what's happened to me.
Exactly. She could end up in prison for murder. You can be done for murder now without a body. You need protection if you want to touch a portal. See, I think that's down to personal belief.
Double bag.
Yeah. Stick a condom on your head before you walk through the portal. Oh, where's Andy gone? He'll come back in a minute. See, me and Andy will jump right in there, no hesitation, lol. See, I would. I'd go through it. It's just I wouldn't. Welcome back, Andy.
I don't know what happened then.
God knows. I wouldn't want to jump through if I knew I was going to be gone for years and years, and my son like grew old before me, sort of thing. So that's the only thing that had stopped me going through, is if I thought I was going to be stuck there for too long. But yeah, I'd like to go through.
I'll be back in 5. I've just got to go and get my thingies.
Oh no, I had mine earlier before I started because I knew I'd have forgot to do them otherwise. Condoms don't guarantee protection. Brett, my mate, was wearing one with his girlfriend when her hubby walked in and shot him. For real. If it's a fake portal, then yes. Maybe if I take you to one. See, everybody's got their own different opinions on portals. Some people think that, you can walk through them and it just takes you to another dimension or another reality. Some people believe once you step into one, you can be gone for years. And, I don't, what do you think, Sam? What's your opinion on portals? Do you think they're like, what are they? Do you think? See, I think they're a gateway, an opening into another reality. But then you don't know what time is like in a different reality, do you?
Yeah, it could be. Do you know, like we do paranormal investigating, we do our research, we do our spirit box and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I used to imagine I'm possibly talking to spirits of dead people and that.
Yeah.
Now I don't do that. I because we could be talking about a parallel universe that we get snippets of, and their frequency comes to us through manipulation of equipment and stuff like that. So, it's difficult. I think in science they did prove that portals exist.
Yeah.
But the only portals I've experienced was a couple of glitches on Grand Theft Auto, where I went through a wall and I ended up somewhere else in the map.
Right. Joanne says, question, could portals be the same thing as a time slip? I personally believe, Joanne, that you have to pass through a portal to experience a time slip. And I believe that is what happened with the 2 women who went to the Gardens of Versailles. I do believe that they actually walked through a portal that they weren't aware of, and that was why they went back in time. Sam, what's your opinion on portals and time slips?
Portals and time slips. It's a possibility. I did see some documentaries getting very scientific about it, and sort of, I end up getting my brain starts frying and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, because, it's the law of relativity, and that lot states that once you start getting close to the speed of light, you then start altering time. So, it is scientifically proven that you can actually time travel, but I don't know whether you can go forward or whether you can only go backwards. I ain't sure.
Well, our sense of time may be different than our reality sense of time.
Mm-hmm.
Because, next year when the clocks change again, they're not going to do it in the European Union. So I walk across the field.
And you lose an hour or gain an hour.
Yeah. So, it's 1 hour a different time. Once I cross the field, that's a couple of 100 yards away.
Mm-hmm.
Basically less than a mile down the road. I'm going into a different time. But that's our perception of time. But what's the real perception of time is another thing,
Nicole says, wasn't there long ago a story in the UK at Rocks where some young girls disappeared, Brett? There has been a few mysterious disappearances in the UK and a few mysterious appearances as well. Another interesting place where it happens a lot as well is the national parks in America. And the US government are extremely reluctant to discuss or release any data regarding the national parks, and I believe it's happened over here a couple of times in the national parks as well. So is that people disappearing through time slips? Are they being abducted by aliens, or are they simply wandering off, dying, and never being found? Who knows? A lot of the stories have some really strange twists to them, like where they've been walking with family members literally 10 feet behind their family, and one of the family members has turned around and the person's disappeared, especially in the national parks. Now, surely if a bear or something had grabbed them, there'd be some kind of sound, and it's very difficult to lose somebody when you're walking a few feet behind them on a trail. Have you ever read up on any of the national park disappearances, Sam?
No.
I think it's basic. Have you ever seen that sci-fi series they did, the 400, where they were all returned? They all disappeared at different times in history, and they were all returned back together. I actually think that was based on the disappearances that have been going on in the national parks.
I might have seen an odd one through a crime series or something like that when I was binge watching these disappearances and stuff like that.
It's quite common for, especially in the national parks, for people to just suddenly disappear in the most unusual of circumstances.
Yeah, but then again, a place like Yellowstone, when there was an eruption in Yellowstone, very suddenly helicopters came in and picked up the dead carcasses of very big beasts.
Yeah.
And they didn't just leave them there; they squipped them up and got them out.
Yeah, well, there was reports of that they were actually Bigfoot, that they were moving.
Obviously bone hunters.
Bone hunters. Because one of the leading theories, especially with the American Bigfoot hunters, is that the government are more than aware of Bigfoot as a species and are actually in collaboration with them. Is one of the main theories, that they're like guardians of the woods and us as such. They're all part of the big alien experiment going on, and the American government are in collaboration with them and actively protecting them. So who knows? That's just one of the theories.
Do you believe in all?
Hi, Gay.
All thing with Bigfoot, Brett. If you watch some channels and that, that deal with it all.
Yeah.
All these like structures in woodlands, like the X's and that. Are you a believer in all that? Like the making signals kind of thing.
The thing about whacking sticks on tree trunks, I'm a bit up in the air about. Same with the cross trunks. I do believe that some things they found are actually nests, which would be consistent with primitive man or an unknown large primate. Or that kind of behavior. But I do think a lot of it is just natural occurrences that people put down to Bigfoot. I do believe some of them are, or some of them could be tied to Bigfoot, but I don't think everything like a lot of the time they go, oh, this branch was broken, it couldn't possibly be broken by anybody but a Bigfoot, and they've actually proven that it can, sort of thing. So, not every broken tree branch in the woods has been done by Bigfoot, as far as I'm concerned. But there are some elaborate constructions in the middle of nowhere that it does make you wonder, if somebody's done them for an hoax, why? Because they're in areas that, 9 times out of 10, they wouldn't have been found anyway. It's just been sheer luck. Sheer luck. So what's your opinion on them, Andy?
What, all these like structures on that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I believe, obviously being quite in-depth with what I do, that nature communicates in many mysterious ways.
Mm-hmm.
And like you've said, a natural occurrence, I've got point of view as that could be nature communicating.
Yeah.
So it might not be necessarily a Bigfoot, but something can happen where that X can create a signal to show you an area where to be. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just by the air communicating with a certain weather transformation and making this thing drop in a certain way to catch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's all. I think everything's got signs in it. You know,
Yeah.
but that's where because we found a spot. What's in next week's video,
Mm-hmm.
and from hitting a certain point in the path for about 300 or 400 yards up an hill, I felt atmosphere change. It went silent. There were no birds. It went thick. It went heavy. I got that sort of tingle from my head all the way down to my toes. And right at top of pathway, there were an X-shaped mark. Where
Right.
branch had come all the way across path
Yeah.
and made an X with another tree.
See, now these X's are really common in areas where they find
Yeah.
Bigfoot. Now,
Yeah.
is it actually Bigfoot doing them, or is it something else doing them?
Well, this is it. This is it.
You know, because a lot of them, you could, like that one we found in that fairy garden, Andy.
Yeah.
It was obvious that was not natural. You could see that it had actually been constructed that way. But why would anybody do that in that garden?
Yeah, this is it, isn't it?
You know, because you could see it had been done after the house had been abandoned by the age of the trees and stuff. You know, so it was obviously done after the house was abandoned. So why would some complete random stranger go into that garden and create an archway like that?
Yeah, it's a bit strange, isn't it?
Yeah, where they'd have no, they've got no real gain from it themselves. Sorry, I didn't answer you. Not too good. Oh, I hope you're okay, Gay. You look after yourself. What's your opinions on Bigfoot, Sam?
It's a big hairy monkey.
I knew I was going to say that.
Yeah, I think if Bigfoot exists, it's some sort of animal that is just getting away from us.
Right.
You know.
So what do you think about things like the broken branches and the nests and the funny little constructions that they find deep in the woods?
It's difficult to know. I've seen big trunks of trees and the tops broken off them. You know, I don't know, but I know from people's reported sightings that they were able to pull trees out of the ground and were quite. They would vibrate the ground when they were running and things like that, and quite strong. And I mean, like, when you think of primates, even chimpanzees, the chimpanzee that was in the Pepsi ad, and the taxi. It was way back. Yeah, don't worry, there's no sugar, and the monkey's driving the taxi. Yeah. That actual chimp it disfigured the owner. It went crazy one day, and it had to be shot.
Yeah,
they tend to, don't they, in captivity? They just lose plot.
Yeah, I think that chimp actually killed. Didn't it rip a friend's face off or something?
Oh yeah, that's right. The friend of the owner.
Yeah,
she ripped the face off.
Yeah,
the chimp had to get shot.
And that was why Michael Jackson had to get rid of Bubbles as well, wasn't it? Because he was turning aggressive.
Yeah. And they are, even chimpanzees are stronger than man. So you can imagine a primate that size, how strong they would be. Like gorillas and bigger bigger animals like.
See, Franz brought up a really interesting point there, Sam and Andy. And this is one I've often thought about. Unfortunately, science requires a body for proof. If the body has hominid DNA and the body, and the body is provided by means of hunting, then it's homicide or murder to us. But without a shadow of a doubt, they exist. See, now that is the point. If someone shoots a Bigfoot for science and it turns out to be an early human or a primitive form of humanity, surely the hunter has then got to be held criminally liable for killing what is technically a human being.
Yep.
Yeah, but would in the court system wouldn't there not be a sort of a clause? It wasn't intentional to kill a human being; that they thought it was a threat and a big hairy beast. You
Mhm.
know, it would be a complicated case. But the question is, why do these helicopters come into Yellowstone National Park and take these carcasses away, which people think were the bodies of Bigfoots? Do
Yeah.
you know why were they whipped away as quick as possible? So
Mhm.
there's a lot of mysterious questions there. But then again, there's a lot of tinfoil hat stuff going out there. That's some of it's true and some of it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know?
And you have got to ask yourself, what could the government possibly gain from having knowledge of a species like Bigfoot and keeping it hidden, unless it was linked to something like either interdimensional travel or aliens or whatever? Because for me, that is the only possible reason that they would need to keep a another species like that hidden or protected.
Yeah. Well, do you know that there was again it's tinfoil hat stuff. Some of these governments were supposed to be messing around with DNA
Mm-hmm.
to make superhumans and
Yeah,
mixing DNA with primates to make
yeah.
superhumans and super monsters,
Mm-hmm.
for battle purposes and that. Is there a link there? I don't know. Do you
Well,
know?
I don't think we'll ever know, will we? Because I think it's beyond a shadow of a doubt that governments have actually, they're messing around with genetics and cloning and DNA and all sorts of stuff, even though it's considered illegal. Some very deep buried government lab somewhere is probably dealing in it. What do you think about that, Andy? Mavericks put it could be because they want to weaponize these Bigfoot.
Hmm.
Do you think that could be a reason? See, for me, I believe that there is some paranormal connection to them.
Yeah.
I honestly believe there is a paranormal connection to Bigfoot that is more than just Bigfoot itself. I think they are actually linked to something else, and this is why the governments are bending over backwards to make sure that they're not discovered.
Yeah.
Claire says, Brett, someone sent me a pic of apparently dead werewolf, but I'm sure it's a fake. Oh, you'll have to show it us on your next stream, Claire. But for me personally, I do find it strange if Bigfoot, and I personally believe that Bigfoot does exist. The government wouldn't be hiding the species just for the sake of hiding the species alone. There's got to be more to it than just the fact that it's either a primitive human or a previously undiscovered large ape, great ape. Because especially with the fact if it's just a great ape, there's absolutely no reason for him to keep it secret or keep it quiet.
I have a funny question.
Go on.
If you see two Bigfoots, do you call them Bigfoots or Big Feet?
Bigfoot. I believe Bigfoot is both the singular and the plural. I believe. I don't even believe you call them Bigfoots. I think you call them Bigfoot. It's either one Bigfoot or many Bigfoot. I think is how they're referred to. Gay says yes, and they are often related to Min lights, which are like orbs in the sky. Intergalactic planetary dimensional travelers. Well, Miss Q, we have Yowies here in Australia, and the Aboriginals have said they have been around for longer than 40,000 years. If you talk to a lot of the serious Bigfoot enthusiasts now, a lot of them do believe that the Bigfoot is actually interdimensional and strongly tied to extraterrestrials. They do believe, that.
There's a lot of reports where the people have apparently seen them just one there 1 minute, walk off, and both gone.
Andy, there's actually reports of people have actually seen them walk into portals.
Yeah, just fading out into nothingness.
Yeah. The Aboriginals, Kat says the Aboriginals have the most accurate line of verbal history we have on this planet, and that's very true. That is very true. Big feet, Nikki says. I believe you still refer to him as Bigfoot if it's more than one.
Well, I think their real name is Sasquatch or something, isn't it?
Jack said, yeah. Well, no, Sasquatch is just the name they use for him in Canada, I believe.
Right.
Jack says, since you're on the subject, have you ever heard of the Dyatlov Pass incident? One of my favourite incidents, Jack. Very controversial because there's a lot of evidence that points to the fact that a Menk could have been involved, which is the Russian version of Bigfoot, or there is also a lot of evidence there that there was a lot of government testing going on in the area at the time, and they could have died as a result of that. So very interesting one. I know they released a picture not so long ago, but I genuinely believe that is just a picture of one of the team members. I don't believe that it's what they claim it is. But was there a Menk that attacked and killed them? I don't know. I'm leaning towards the fact there probably was, due to the fact the way the tents were slit from the inside to watch things going on outside. There was a lot of very strange things going on in the tent. The fact they all bolted and some of them weren't even fully dressed when they bolted. You know, they were semi-naked. Why one of the women would have their tongue ripped out again is another interesting thing. If it was just a normal animal attack. I'm banging on here. Do you two know about the Dyatlov Pass incident? Yeah. Sam?
Yeah, I've seen a documentary on it.
Right, so we'll start with Andy then. What's your opinion on it?
I have got no idea. I just don't know. You know, I've seen many different theories. It's one of things. I don't know.
Yes, it's a very contradictory one. Sam?
Well, most animals, even big animals, they try to stay away from humans as much as possible. So whatever attacked these people, it's kind of strange, because even if a lion came up to a tent and you made a noise, a lot of the time, lions or bigger animals is just going to run off from humans, unless they're provoked in some way and stuff. So the way that these people were killed, it is kind of weird. And again, people's parts being missing, like tongues and stuff. It's a strange one, you know.
Mm-hmm. See, for me, what is interesting is the one journal that they released, where one of the last entries in the journal actually said, "Now we know the snowman is real."
Yeah.
Now that is a very funny thing for someone to write in a journal, unless they were talking about the abominable snowman. You know, but that was an entry. Ray Kit says, my uncle in the UK where I live was a bus driver. In the last 10 years, while driving down a small country road in Essex, he had to stop his bus as a big airy animal wolf-like creature crossed the road with small aversion, scared the hell out of him. He couldn't recall what they were, and he's an intellectual. I'm an ex-bus driver, Ray. You will be surprised the amount of paranormal things that occur on and around buses. Believe me, you really would. If the people were killed by a Bigfoot, why would they kill these people on strange raids, such as ripping out the tongue and such as are intelligent? Maybe realistic, who knows? Well, one of the things that the local people actually say about the Menk, Jack, is that they love the softer body parts. Apparently, when they kill, they don't eat the normal meat. They remove things like the tongue and the innards, and they eat the offal and stuff like that. Apparently, that it is a characteristic of the Menk that they prefer the softer meat rather than the normal meat that most people would actually chomp on. The famous video of Bigfoot, there are claims that she was filmed digging up her baby. After the filming, Posse shot and buried the young one. How to Hunt, YT channel. That's interesting. I've never heard that. I've never heard. Have you? Either of you two heard that one?
No.
I didn't know.
No, I've got to be honest. I've never heard of that one. A very interesting theory, though. Hi, Stephen. Andy made a good point there about orcas. A killer whale will only take the tongue of another whale when they kill it. That's very true. The orca, orcas are another predator that will happily just take the tongues. But the Dyatlov Pass incident is an interesting one. The other things you've got to take into account is where it actually happened as well, because it was on the Mountain of the Dead, which was considered it was an area of a local tribe who had been known to murder people in the past, strangers in the past. They totally denied having any knowledge of killing these people. They did say they warned them about not going on, but the fact that previous murders had occurred on the mountain, you do have to take that into consideration as well, as to whether it may have been the tribe or not, but who knows. Do you think Bigfoot can be these giant creatures from the Bible that has been talked about multiple times and fallen angels? I presume you're talking about the Nephilim, Maverick. I suppose that the Bible could have addressed the Bigfoot issue as Nephilim, I suppose.
I had that come through Spirit Box not so long ago.
What, Nephilim?
Very cool.
Well, that if you read the Bible, that is why they claim God sent the Great Flood, wasn't it, to finish them off? Because they were abomination to, they were the offspring of angels and humans, weren't they?
While
They were abominations, apparently, in the eyes of God.
I got it through the box while trying to communicate with a tree spirit.
And you got Nephilim?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
That's right. I'm gonna have to look into that, Claire, about that female, the Patterson Gimli video. What is interesting about that video is they've recently done an whole new set of scientific tests on it with things like motion specialists and stuff like that, and they have actually said that it would be physically impossible for a human in a monkey suit to walk or move the way that animal does on the Patterson Gimli film. So they've pretty much confirmed that it is not a person in a monkey suit.
Yeah, there was a time there where a lot of it went across the board where people believed that this was fake. But
yeah,
you see that footage now, and it's not talked about as fake anymore.
No.
So
There are bigger shots, Brett, with dead ones nearby. All right. See, this is all new. This is all new to me regarding this. Yeah, Nephilim are different compared to the Bible. If you listen to the Bible, Cat, but the Bible has been known to describe one thing as somewhere else. So giants, they could be using Bigfoot and describing, saying that they're Nephilim, because a lot of Bigfoot are described as being between 12 and 15 feet tall. That's quite big. You can see the dead ones. They were skinning them. Yeah, I personally believe that Patterson Gimli video is genuine. Sam?
It's where muscle moves.
Yeah, and this is what gets me, Andy. There's no way in a costume you'd get that muscle movement.
Nope.
And plus the fact of of the analysis of the gait and everything now, the way the knees and everything move and the hips, and they say it is physically impossible for a human in a monkey outfit to move like that. What's your opinion on it, Sam?
Well, if somebody was walking around the woods in a monkey suit, they're very, very brave because they're going to get shot in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It's the last thing I want to do is walk through the woods in a monkey suit. Do you know?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? Yeah, I mean, like, it's a very difficult one because it's seen, but it's not seen often enough, and we don't have a specimen to have analytics done on it. You know, we don't have our science. DNA science or whatever. I believe there was been hairs found and stuff, and I can't remember. I believe these hairs were not known to any known species.
Yeah. There's been quite a few samples of hair collected that have some of them have turned out to be bison and stuff like that, but there are quite a few of them that have actually turned out to be unidentifiable at the moment. You know, there's quite a few hair samples that have turned out like that. I have a friend who knew the he who.
He who ha.
The Bible is the retelling of events that already occurred anyway. The Bible we know today, Cat, isn't even anywhere near the one that was written 2,000 years ago. It has been rewritten so many times to suit current social conditions that it ain't even the same book. Nowhere near.
Yeah, there's different versions of the Bible too for the different churches. You've got the St. James's Bible, which is slightly different than there's other versions of it, and they are slightly different and that. But who knows how much alteration has gone into that and what is the real text, do you know? It could be way, way different than the original text at the time, you know?
Yeah. Miss Q says, how to hunt channel. He has explosive evidence on the Patterson event. I'm going to have a look at that later. How to hunt. Possibly a Bigfoot, maybe the missing link that split off thousands of years ago, but would governments and scientists release that information if that's the case? Would it change history and belief? See, I don't think it would. See, this is what I was saying earlier, Jack. I think if Bigfoot was just an undiscovered large primate, I don't see why the government would need to cover it up now. Because, I think it's got to the point now where a lot of people ain't religious anyway. And, Christianity is only one religion on the planet, and science supersedes all religions now pretty much. So, I think if it turned out that it was the missing link, they would reveal it was the missing link. This is why I think there's a lot more to the Bigfoot story than people realise with the stories about the government, the lengths governments are going to protect them. Sort of thing. Guy says Phantasma, that's what the Aboriginals in Australia think. Yeah, it's a very interesting subject, Bigfoot. At one time it was just big hairy apes in the woods, and in the 80s, that was if you said Bigfoot, that is all anybody would ever say is, oh, they're big hairy apes in the woods. You talk to a lot of the modern Bigfoot enthusiasts and they link them to all sorts of weird and wonderful things. Andy links them to the Fae and the elementals, don't you? Yeah. There's a lot of people who link them, who say that they're actually guardians put here by extraterrestrials to keep an eye on us, because we're a science project. There's other Bigfoot enthusiasts who genuinely believe they are an interdimensional species that just visits us. None of this was put forward in the 80s. They were just considered big hairy apes in the wood.
That's what I still think.
Yeah, a lot of people still do, Sam. Yeah. A lot of people still do. If you say to a lot of people nowadays, what do you know about the links between Bigfoot and aliens? They'd laugh. They wouldn't realize that that anybody has even put forward a link.
Do you know that I've seen documentaries of these It was off the wall stuff. There was these hillbillies with the the country hats and the
Mhm.
hey, and the
Yeah.
they were really out there. I mean, like they were kind of they had the shotguns out and they had the big cages and setting traps and all the rest of it.
Hmm.
And these people, they spent their life doing this. They don't do anything else. Only look for
Yeah.
Bigfoot, you know.
Yeah. They've just discovered a new species of primate in China. It is already endangered. Yeah, but I think they discovered a new species of bush baby recently as well. So there's still mammals and stuff being discovered out there. Jack says, mind you, we got stories of Mothman, Loch Ness, Thunderbirds. Mothman, I've got to be honest, I stick Mothman in the same category as Zozo and Slenderman. I think he's more creepypasta than reality.
Oh, there's
Loch Ness, I am on the fence about. I used to be a big supporter of the Loch Ness monster. Thunderbirds, another odd one because, if they claim to be a large species of bird capable of picking people up off the ground. I'd have thought we would have seen more evidence of them if they. I ain't saying they don't exist, but I think the chances of them existing are a lot lower than what Bigfoot is. Because they're not the type of thing that can hide in the trees as much as Bigfoot can keep itself hidden. I can't see how Thunderbirds would be able to keep themselves hidden as well. Sam?
Did you hear about the new one called Siren Head or something?
Oh God, yes. So somebody was on about him the other day.
Hmm.
And
I haven't looked into it.
That's another Slenderman thing. Right. So what is your opinion on Mothman, the Loch Ness Monster, and Thunderbirds? And not the puppets.
I don't believe in the Loch Ness Monster because I believe that research boat has scanned that lake umpteen times and found nothing.
Right.
Mothman, I don't know. I'm a very skeptical person. I kind of look at these things and I go, "Come on, guys."
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? I find it very, very difficult to believe.
Okay, Mothman.
Yeah, same thing. Especially Mothman.
Yeah.
When you think about it, you think about the weight of the creature and the wingspan, and I believe in one or two documentaries, the wingspan didn't. When they done scientific studies, they believe that the wingspan couldn't support the possible weight of the body,
right,
and stuff like that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're interesting to look at, but I don't actually take them serious for some reason.
Thunderbirds.
Thunderbirds, I've heard of.
They're basically just a huge version of an eagle type predator. They're like raptors, massive raptors. Is about the best way of describing them. Yeah.
It's a difficult one. I mean, like you got all these mystical creatures, but you got rare sightings. They're not seen by a huge amount of people, which makes it even more difficult.
Yeah, Andy.
Right, so I'm gonna pull a paranormal get out clause in this.
Right. Okay.
Right. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
it's all about the spectrum and frequency.
Right.
Right. If any of these creatures are real,
mm-hmm.
then they're not real on our physical level like we are.
Right.
Because this is what I believe.
Yeah.
If conditions are right and
Mm-hmm.
something weird's going on, that's when we see them.
Right.
They'll look physical and real to us, and
Mm-hmm.
them to us, and vice versa.
Hmm.
But I don't think the like with Bigfoot being an ape that's living in woods,
Hmm.
we would have found it and proven it by now. You know, all suggestion is that they're sharing our space, but not on our frequency.
Yeah, but
Unless-
the thing is, where Bigfoot lives, and this is one of the things that what a lot of people don't realise. The areas where Bigfoot are supposed to live, only 5% of those woods have ever actually had a human in them. 95% of their habitat has never had a human in it. And I know that's hard to believe, but 95% of the habitats claimed to be inhabited by Bigfoot have never seen any human interaction whatsoever.
But I mean, can you guarantee that though?
Well, that's what that was off a park ranger that I saw on a documentary.
But again,
You can't guarantee it, but as far as I'm aware,
I
you
mean,
know,
unless you're-
95% of the area has not been visited ever.
But you know, we know that they know more than they're laying on.
Oh yeah,
They'll
without
be
a
to
doubt.
places that they'll never tell us they've been.
Yeah.
You know, so you know that's just somebody else's opinion, isn't it? That we're going off. You know, we are actually having 24-hour cameras on these places, constantly watching. You know what I mean? And having
Yeah.
solid proof that there ain't people going to these places.
Hmm.
You know, but that's what I believe. I believe that none of these things are in physical like we are on this frequency that we're on.
Yeah.
You know,
See,
they're on their own.
Gay's put there, if Loch Ness is there, I think it's an interdimensional thing.
Exactly.
See, and I've said this about the Loch Ness Monster, Andy, because the surveys they've done on the loch itself, they know it is physically impossible for the fish stocks to be high enough to support enough plesiosaurs to survive all this time. You know, because they've estimated you would need a minimum of 23 plesiosaurs to have a sustainable colony of them in the loch. Loch Ness has got an extremely low concentration of fish, believe it or not. It is very low for its size. I believe the only way that the Loch Ness monster is there is if it is either coming through a time slip or it is coming through a dimensional slip.
Yeah,
one or the other.
One of the most perfect explanations a guy once I heard him once say is, you walk into a warehouse, right, that's got 15 shelves either side of you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's pure black, and you turn on a flashlight, and that's your field of vision.
Mm-hmm.
You walk in a straight line, you don't look round, you walk in a straight line, and that's what you can see on this spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
But then you turn the light on in that factory, and all that just opens up to you is what's not in your visible spectrum. There's more out there than what we can see.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
That's basically what I'm getting at. They're sharing the same space, we just can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes.
So do you think a lot of it's down? Do you think a lot of it's down to, like frequency vibration and stuff like that?
All vibration, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like for example, if Bigfoot were truly real and Mothman were truly real, they might not be able to see each other.
Yeah.
You know, they might not be aware of each other.
See, that is very true, because you know if they're all working on different vibrations, unless their vibrations all come within a very close, band of one another, then they're never going to meet.
Exactly.
You know, and I wonder, you know, is this why certain people who claim to be mediums or people who see elementals or things like that, is it because they are able to manipulate frequency? Is it not? Is it the fact it's not a special gift in the way that we think it is? It's actually a gift in another way, more of a physics thing than a spiritual or supernatural one.
I think there's definitely science involved.
Yeah.
But I think it's an healthy balance of both.
You think it's a balance of both?
Yeah.
I've a fly to put in the ointment.
Go on then, Sam.
What if it's all bullshit and it's got to do with tourism and money?
I believe that certain things are down to tourism and money.
Yeah, yeah.
And I honestly believe that Mothman's one of them. I do genuinely believe that Mothman is one of them. I think, he was actually created solely for tourism. I really do.
Yeah, you can get Mothman pizzas in the local restaurant and stuff.
Yeah. Well,
People are always going to capitalise. You see, there might have been a strange incident that happened that started it.
Yeah.
A singular one-off oddity, and then what folk are like, they'll capitalise on anything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But they've even admitted in the what's it in the town that Mothman actually makes them. I think it's 2 million a year. Now that place, that village, that town, whatever you want to call it, was actually on the verge of financial collapse until they announced this Mothman, Mothman thing occurred.
They have a big brown statue. I seen it in. I seen it in BuzzFeed. I enjoy the BuzzFeed ones where the two guys go in and they're just completely taking the piss. It's really funny. But they have a big statue in the middle of the town.
Yeah.
Of Mothman and
Jack says, if in these frequencies or dimensions, if they exist, could it be possible that these beings live like we do? What if the voices we hear out of thin air is people trying to communicate as we do with them? We've often had this discussion, ain't we, where we've said, we could actually be talking with people like us, just in a different dimension. There's no guarantee we are talking to dead people, none whatsoever.
Yeah,
we could just be talking to people like us, who are just sitting in another dimension, thinking we're the ghosts.
Yeah, because they're not giving us any information. There's thousands of people doing spirit box sessions and paranormal research and paranormal investigation, and time after time, people have been asking, and I've seen Jack doing the same thing, asking those questions, those fundamental questions. So many people have asked them fundamental questions, and I've yet to see somebody get a straight answer.
Mm-hmm. And we presume we're alive, and then we die. Who's saying that we're not dead now, and when we die, we come alive?
Yeah.
We don't know, do we? We've got no guarantees that we're alive. For all we know, this could be our natural dead state. Why am I getting a taste for blotter paper? I have absolutely no idea, Andy. But yeah, like you say, Sam, with the commercial side of things, I genuinely believe that the entire town, where as far as Mothman is concerned, would, they bigged up Mothman. I really do.
I think any place that has a sighting and that still capitalizing. Sure, the areas around Area 51, you go in and there's little toy aliens, alien toys, alien souvenirs and all that kind of stuff,
I've always wanted to go there.
Where?
The Little Alien Inn, that cafe on...
Oh, at Roswell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to go there. I'd love to go, even if it's just to get a T-shirt and a hat.
Yeah.
Just to say I've been.
Yeah.
Hi, Julie. The possibilities are endless. I actually often think that maybe we aren't quite living, but are in some other state of being. We could very well be. We could very well be living in a matrix, for all we know. And a lot of this supernatural stuff could actually be described by glitches in a computer system.
The one thing about all this is the human mind. The problem is with the human mind, it can't always be trusted.
No.
It's people, If we were a completely honest society, we get a lot of answers to a lot of these fundamental questions. But there's a lot of people out there. They run away with their own imagination. They see shadows and think they're big. They're on. Too much under the influence of certain things. I seen a guy walking into our town, my hometown. We had a fun fair on, and there was this big giant elephant. It must have been about 50 feet high. It's one of these bouncing castles, but it was a big, huge elephant.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he was running through the town, monster, monster, monster. He was off his head, like. Yeah. So, you got that aspect of it too, the reliability of the human brain.
Have you noticed my spelling's a bit better now? I'm sitting at a proper desk. Now I'm at the right height to see the keys properly.
That wouldn't make my spelling any better.
My typing's a little bit better. Not 100%, but it's better than it was.
Sometimes I go Google searching for certain things, and Google doesn't even know what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even autocorrect. It's spelled that bad.
Do you two think that nowadays people are too quick to declare things paranormal? Because I do. I think I think that at one time it was everybody went for the logical, and then when everything when the probable was eliminated, they then went to the improbable. Now it seems to be, and I think it's because of programs like Most Haunted and Ghost Adventures. I think people now go straight to the improbable rather than ruling out the more likely probable.
Well, I've got a device here, right? Do you know what? I use science, I use devices and stuff like that, but people reckon that this is going to be really accurate and everything's going to be rosy and that. And it's one of these, right? Mm-hmm. It's an expensive. It's got a couple of things in one. It's got temperature up here. It's got your EMF sensor down here, and then you got your geophone down here. Now,
what is it? It looks like a bath sponge.
Uh-huh. It's got a protective coating. It's got a protective sleeve on it, right? Now, a lot of people jump to conclusions when this geophone goes off. But you can hear, if you hear my voice, vibrations go through the air and stuff like that. But if you're in an abandoned building, where are rodents going to hang out? They're going to hide out in abandoned buildings and stuff like that. So you got to take things like animals into account as well. And very often, a lot of people, jump to conclusions when these things go off and say, guys. But even when you're out in the open too, you have underground creatures like rabbits and stuff like that, But the thing is, it all went to pot when YouTube, when people started using YouTube, because YouTube is a platform now to make money, and it's more based on entertainment. And I've seen all these I've seen all these channels telling you how to do a video. You should do a video no longer than 20 minutes because people get distracted after about 20 minutes.
Oh, I'm screwed then because all mine average 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, and the thing is, things that are not happening, cut them out and stuff. But in the paranormal, if you do that, you end up with you end up with a TV program like Ghost Adventures and stuff like that. Now the productions, if you're going to produce something like that, that's brilliant and all the rest of it. But YouTube is not designed for us to go to an investigation and.
Sorry, I'm laughing at Miss Q's comment there. Gearbox SquarePants.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but a channel like mine who goes and gets as much footage as possible, then just goes home and puts all the files together in as paranormal content. I wouldn't do that certainly if it was a tourist thing or my car videos or whatever. But with the paranormal, I like to take the evidence and not mess with it and just
Mhm.
line up all the files.
Hmm.
And that's the reason why my channel isn't going to be huge.
Yeah.
Because there's 40 minutes of me possibly sitting there and nothing happening.
Yeah.
And maybe a whole night where nothing really happened. Do you know?
Andy?
What? What?
More.
Do you think
Oh,
people jump to the paranormal too quick nowadays, rather than eliminating the normal?
Depends what you're into.
Go on, elaborate.
Well, it depends if you're normal or not.
What's normal? Define normal.
Well, because you've got people like I'm becoming more lenient to. There's a lot more going on that people wouldn't even consider.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was talking about earlier, I believe that there's spirits in the wind. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but what I'm saying, you've still got to, even if you believe all that, you've still got to eliminate things that have got a natural explanation before you get to them. You can't just, just because you hear someone in the wind, you cannot straight away jump to the fact that's what it is. For me personally, I think you've still got to rule out shutters rattling in the wind or the wind blowing through a piece of plastic and making a strange sound or whatever.
Well, yeah, but you don't even consider that anyway, do you? You know what I mean? You're looking for a certain set of things, and that's like, a clear voice,
Mm-hmm.
coming from nowhere. It's like, for example, right? All right then. Let's do that properly then. So, who's to say the sound of that them pipes where you got on that Tascam weren't a real occurrence?
Right.
That somebody had a wind chime in a garden across road.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it picked it up. We couldn't hear it because of other influences such as the wind and rattling at trees and them guys on motorbikes and people walking past. But we put it down to we couldn't hear it at time, and only my camera picked it up mild, very mild. Your Tascam picked it up very clear. So was that a true instance or not? Do we really know?
No, well, this is the point. We'll never know, because if we truly know it, it'd no longer be paranormal. But at least we went through the process of eliminating things so that we knew it wasn't that. We checked the garden. There was no wind chimes in the gardens and stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. Whereas most people, if they hear something like that, straight away they'd jump to, oh, it's a ghost. They wouldn't check first for wind chimes in the garden and stuff like that. That's what I mean. People are too quick to jump straight to the paranormal reason rather than go through and eliminate the normal ones first.
Yeah, there's another side to it. I mean, like, there is people that will jump to conclusions, but some of these people are in the learning process.
Oh yeah.
But will they learn from the process, or will they just continue on because they're influenced by their YouTube channel or Facebook channel?
Right. Yeah. Talking about that then, Sam and Andy, do you think that it is possible to compromise your channel just to keep your viewers happy? Sam?
Why
are you grinning? Why are you grinning?
I'm not going to mention any names, but you can compromise your channel and you can compromise your reputation as a paranormal investigator if you get caught up in your community that is more excited about stuff that isn't paranormal, and they're all the time looking for the creepy, oh that's creepy, oh that's scary, whatever. If you get caught up on that and started off with good intentions but fall into that, then you end up in paranormal terms looking like a complete twat.
Okay, Andy.
It's an odd one, this one, because a lot of names that will get thrown out. Like I've seen one being thrown out in chat. But I can honestly, hands down, tell you that all these, because I've worked with a lot of them, and not one of them ever did anything intentionally.
Yeah, but none of them ever do anyway, do they, Andy? Because he the ones that have been mentioned and the other one who was quite involved with that channel, when they first started out, they started out with good intentions.
No, not even first off. I mean, I've worked with some of them quite a fair few years in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And
would you work with them now?
Because of things that they did personally, no. But based on their investigation style and what I've personally seen, if they didn't have gone personal, it were not to do with paranormal with art, it were actual personal clashes of personalities,
Right. Well, let me give you an example then. Let's just bite the bullet and say it.
Go on.
There is a channel that was proven to have faked a bone in the wall episode.
Yeah.
Would you still work with them? And why did they feel the need to fake that bone in the wall? Was it to keep their viewers happy? This is what I'm saying.
You see, issue I've got with that, because there's an underlying issue I've always had with. If you look at it with open eyes, right? Yes, that bone was placed in that wall. But yes, that spirit box did say there was a body in the wall. So you've got a 2-part oddity going on there. Right? Yes, he heard the body in the wall, which prompted him to put something in the wall to be found for the views. Yeah?
Yeah.
But, cool, that come out. And by all means, I think that Father Christmas body, Teddy thing, whatever it was, ornament, were in wall. I think that were genuinely in there, Right. So you can't knock there was some cool communication, because, he has had good, very, very good things come through that box.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. It's like I said, when they started off, up until a point in their careers, they were all good, genuine investigation channels.
Yeah.
But they seem to hit a point where either personal fame and ego takes over, or vast amounts of money take over, and then they start to please the viewers rather than maintaining their intent. Or for me personally, I think this is what happens. And I do think it is quite common for channels to totally lose their integrity over the paranormal just to keep their viewers happy.
It's sad, really, because, I mean, the person that you're just speaking of, his Spirit Box communication was really, really good. He had a good reputation for ITC. And the other person that's mentioned in the chat, if you wanted to know about a piece of equipment and people are still, even the people that that think that he's gone completely off course altogether, they will still look at his videos on equipment, because he actually did have education at the time,
Oh yeah.
I mean, like, you wanted to know about the SLS camera, that's how I learned, because I had the stuff, but I was getting so much bad information and stuff. And actually, that particular person, he had it down in black and white. It was so easy to understand. And that's how I got to set up my SLS camera. He was very, very clear and precise with that. But he used to be friends with Mr. Bone in the Wall, and then Mr. Bone in the Wall started going for entertainment, and he was criticized for the Bone in the Wall thing.
Mm-hmm.
But now it seems like these people that were against him and were criticizing for the Bone in the Wall seem to be following his path, and there's a bit of a competition around entertainment going on now.
You see, you know what I think sometimes that they're a little bit guilty on? A bit of forethought. It's like, I'll give you an example, right? We were once investigating somewhere that's really, really active, really good. I've took a few people to it.
Mm-hmm.
And we heard this blood-curdling scream, right? Even camera picked it up, and it's in middle of nowhere, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And later on in investigation, he come to me and he was like, "What screams like that?" And just me being me, you know, with a smirk on my face, said banshees, you know. And he was like, "Cool." He goes, "I'll put that in video. I'll say, you know, banshee. We heard a banshee scream."
See,
And I
first thing
think-
out of my mouth would have been barn owl.
Well, yeah, but you know, and that's what he went off. You know, and there were no forethought to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was banshee all of it. And I was like, I were only joking when I said it was one of them, but it was just no thought. It was just, there were no forethought to it. It was just, poof, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they get caught up in sometimes, just not thinking on a bit. You know.
I genuinely believe a lot of these channels now know exactly what they're doing, and they plan their channel around entertaining the viewer rather than sticking to the ethics and the morals. I really do.
Well, I said to other people, if you want to follow somebody, look through their history.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have these people now jumping to conclusions or looking like they're jumping to conclusions. When we look at you know, a certain person in the public eye, who goes, guys, did you see that? Did you see that? And all the rest of it. But if you look back a couple of years ago, he wouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm.
He says, right, guys, there's a possibility that might have been wound.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and debunk this now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not happening anymore. And then when there was a little bit, not so long ago, there was a little bit of a, they all try to sort of make out that they were genuine because there was a little bit of a season of debunking.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that? Everybody was doing it. Oh, we're going to debunk this, debunk that. And there was all this debunking and that. But now we're going back to body found, warning, body found. The body was found years ago.
Yeah.
Do you know that this kind of stuff? And I just, it's
clickbait, basically.
It's entertaining business.
Yeah.
You know, YouTube. That's the way YouTube works.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Right, before I close this down then, because I'm going to close it down in a bit because we've been going 2 hours 10. I've just got one more question off Joanne for the panel. This will sound crazy, but can I ask, has anyone on the panel recently heard a low humming noise when it's quiet? Almost like a frequency coming closer. I hear it occasionally, Joanne, but I've always put it down to, you know, just me getting on a bit in the ear and starting to go, you know, maybe tinnitus or whatever it's called. I have heard occasionally a buzzing sound, but not consistently. Andy?
No, I can't say that I have.
Sam?
No, I can't say that I have. I live on a busy street, so I'm bombarded with noises all the time.
See, that's what I'll put, you know, and it's only been like occasional, you know, when you get like a whistle or something in your ears. But I'll put that down to natural occurrence, and I've got it now. Now I've just said it. It's literally just started in my ears. So that, you know, that just proves it's psychological. Because I can now hear it whistling in my ears now I've just mentioned it. So it's basically psychological with me. I can hear it whistling now in my ears. Either that or I'm about to be abducted, one or the other. Right, well, guys, I'm going to close this down because I do need to have a bit of a break now. Been going for just over 2 hours. Thank you everybody for coming on. It's been a nice stream again. Thank you to Sam and Andy for coming on the channel and giving us their views, and thank you for your questions and your views. I will be back on Friday, hopefully, all being well, as long as I ain't feeling too tired. So thank you all. Look after yourselves, stay safe, and watch what you're doing out there. So have a good night all.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
everybody.
Bye bye.
Night all. Bye.